Hey everybody, John here. I have another video on version 11.3.3 of full self-driving beta from Tesla on review here today, driving through the city streets. I'm also going to take it on the highway. Before I get started, let me talk about the biggest changes that you need to know about. So let's get started with the positives. First of all, and this is one of my favorite features, is the in-lane movement of the vehicle. Your car will kind of swerve back and forth, not like obnoxiously, but very naturally. It feels like a human, kind of when you're going in a straight line, and especially when it's a single lane, your car just kind of drifts just ever so slightly. It's not really completely noticeable, but it gives you that comfort that, oh my gosh, this is like a human. It feels very human-like. The other thing is moving away from larger trucks that are in another lane. Larger vehicles, anything that is maybe coming into your lane, not only on city streets, but also on highways. It's finally been implemented where the car shifts away from that moving vehicle. Very nice job there. I have to give the beta team a lot of credit for that. It feels awesome. It's exactly what a human would do in those situations, and it's safe. It's a lot safer. It does not speed up that I've noticed, but it does slow down when necessary and definitely moves over to get away from larger vehicles. The next thing that I absolutely love, as well as this natural movement within lanes, is moving over quickly enough when you have a short distance to make a turn. This has been a complaint by many testers over many months. The car simply misses turns. And I've always said that if it maps it out, it should be able to take that route. However, a lot of cases in the past, it would miss it entirely. And I'd be dumbfounded. I'd be like, why would it even map it out if it can't do the maneuver? But now it actually does it very well. In fact, sometimes it will push through like 3 lanes at once. And of course, it's looking at the traffic behind you, so it's doing it in a safe manner. A lot of people have commented that it's not legal to immediately turn right or left and move over like 2 lanes, rather than, I think what you're supposed to do, the proper way of driving is you pull out when you're making a turn to start, and you're on the first lane, and then you start shifting over quickly to make your next turn. However, what beta does is it will shift over immediately like 2 lanes or 3 lanes right away. And that's very assertive, but I think it's appropriate. And I know in some countries it's not allowed, so I'm not sure how Tesla's gonna juggle that one. It's gonna be challenging. Now, let's talk about some of the regressions or some of the negative aspects of version 11. The first negative aspect is on the highway. So everyone's curious because it's single stack. Everything is different on the highway, and it's very noticeable when you first start driving on the highways. You start seeing lanes on the other side of the median. You start seeing traffic lights showing up when it's like an overhead pass area. You start seeing a lot of stuff that you didn't see before, including additional traffic all around you. You can see further ahead, you can see more vehicles to the left or the right. That's really nice. The visualizations are nice. However, there are 3 downsides to highway driving. The first one existed before, and it still exists today. The car does not speed up to merge when you're getting onto a highway. Just be aware of that. You'll still need to introduce some speed by scrolling up on the right scroll wheel to make sure it goes fast enough to merge correctly. There's actually 4 issues on the highway, and the second one also existed before. It does not, when you're merging, a lot of times it stays in the lane, and then the lane just kind of pushes the car, like the lines will run out, like the runway basically runs out when you're merging, and then those lines themselves will push your car into the merge area. It really should turn on its left turn signal to get over to merge properly. That still is an issue. So, I mean, I feel like it's more of an issue now than it was before. I know that could be just me feeling like it's an issue, more of an issue, but it definitely is a little bit awkward when you're merging. The third, I guess we'll say this is so 2 of them related to merge, one speed and then getting over, actually merging. The third one is staying in the passing lanes. If you're going faster than other traffic and the car will successfully go around slower moving vehicles, which is great, but then as soon as it's in the far left lane, if someone's coming up right behind you, it's hit or miss. It doesn't happen all the time. In fact, most of the time it does not happen where your car then gets back over to the side to allow the faster traffic to pass you. So this is a new algorithm. It's the way it processes highways and passing lanes is very different than before. The fourth issue on highways, and this is rather unfortunate and something I'm not a big fan of at all, is it misses exits. This has been a recurring pattern. I'm not pleased with it at all. It missed the exit going on I-90 in Chicago west, trying to get off onto Roselle Road. It missed that entirely, and there was tons of open space on the right side. And before, it would never, ever miss that exit, by the way. Now, it's like it doesn't even see it. I don't know, it's really weird. So you have to like force it to get over sometimes. Another case, it was exit 36 going north on Interstate 131 in Michigan, just north of Interstate 94. And it missed exit 36, which is Stadium Drive, getting off there. Again, clear, wide open, very easy for a human to determine that you need to get over to get off on that exit. Just flat out missed it. Now, does it miss every exit? No, but I'd say maybe 60-70% of the time it does miss exits. So those are the four issues on highways. Everything else operates just fine. A lot of people are worried about the car maybe creating more of a dangerous situation. I haven't witnessed any of that. In fact, I felt very safe. It's just those minor nuisances that are a bit of a hiccup. So those are the four issues on highways. Now let's transfer over to city streets. Some of the changes that I've observed, and they're not very big, is one, it will interpret traffic lights that do not apply to you and slow down temporarily. It realizes it quickly and then picks up speed again, but that is one issue I definitely have noticed. It's picking up on traffic lights it never ever did before. And the last issue, which I can't fail to mention, is the user interface. A lot of times it will freeze up, hang, and kind of like disappear. Elements will disappear. That reduces your confidence as a driver, so that's really discouraging. However, please be aware that it does not affect the full self-driving functionality whatsoever. Everything functions completely fine, so don't be worried that it's not going to perform correctly. So just be aware of that. Unfortunately, that is an issue. All of the previous issues on city streets still exist. They're all minor, but sometimes it will see stop signs that don't exist. Sometimes it will try to turn right on red. Sometimes it will not be able to complete U-turns. In fact, most of the time it cannot complete U-turns. Roundabouts, still an issue. All of these things haven't really been tweaked or improved. But the in-lane movement, like I said, again, that is huge. It's a really big deal. I love it. So with all that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this latest full self-driving beta video. Thanks for watching, and if you liked my videos, please hit the like button and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.
Some ASMR for all of you who like these sounds. It's pretty funny, my bicycle shows up as a motorcycle. I show this to demonstrate the ultrasonic sensors and how it tells you to stop. You get used to these beeps and sounds, and I understand the new cars that don't have these sensors don't do this. So this is mainly for you guys. Here I'm exiting my driveway and heading out for a test. I'm taking it pretty much directly onto the highway to do some testing here. So here's my screen. I've overlaid it. This is thanks to Adam Urban, who you can contact on Twitter if you would like to get one of these HDMI output screens yourself. I would highly recommend it if you are planning to do a lot of YouTube videos. Here it comes out onto Gulf Road and it proceeds to slow down here. This becomes the first intervention. I'm not going to keep track of the interventions and disengagements in this video, but this remains an issue, and I've reported this so many different times. In fact, I don't think I even report it this time because it's just, when you step on the accelerator, it doesn't give you an opportunity to report it. Thankfully, I still have the camera icon in the upper right-hand corner, but I've just reported it hundreds of times by now, and it still hasn't been fixed. And I don't know that I really expect it to be fixed, but it still is kind of annoying. There, it slows down for that car turning right. I thought it did a really nice job there, and then it gets over nice and early to make this right turn. I really liked that. I thought that felt really natural and very confident. And then proceeding through this green light at this kind of interesting intersection where these two normally parallel roads cross. So now we are on Higgins Road heading east, and I'm heading all the way over to Interstate 355 south. So the light turns green here, the car proceeds forward, sometimes going through Roselle, which is this next intersection. Sometimes it will slow down here. It did not slow down. That is an improvement compared to previous builds. So I really like that, except the only mystery is that even previously it was kind of 50-50 when it would slow down versus not. Coming up here before we get onto the highway, I filmed this when I first got 11.3.1. It slows down for a traffic light that does not apply to us. Watch what happens here. Comes up here, it gets over to the right nice and early. I love what it does right here. Watch. Slow it down. This is actual speed. It gets over nice and early here. And if you're new to this area, you wouldn't know to get over this quickly because you think that you're turning right here, but in reality, this lane goes straight. I love that. But now right here on the far left, it sees that red light, 36, 35, 34, 30. So I have to intervene right there to push the speed back up again. I have someone right behind me at this point, so I'm hovering over the accelerator thinking I might have to take over here, but thankfully it goes through here really smooth. It doesn't slow down. It stays left there and actually got lucky going over a lot of those holes in the road. Didn't have to intervene or disengage there. And you'll see it's locking in a speed limit of 45, and this remains an issue, and I mentioned it earlier. You do have to introduce some speed. So here I start using the right scroll wheel to bump the speed up. So now I'm going 64 miles per hour max speed. I intervene. Every time you hear that bell sound, that's me intervening and using the scroll wheel or using the turn signal. Here I'm intervening once again. I'm trying to get it to go fast. Everybody's going 80, I would say, minimum right now. And the speed limit signs are saying 55. I don't think 60 is accurate, which is what it's reading or showing on my display right now. So there, I just forced it over because it failed to merge. Now this time I didn't run out of space where the edge pushed me over, but it just wouldn't get over. Now here you can see I display very clearly for everybody so you know what mode I'm in. I'm in the assertive mode, and I'm trying to get it to pass these vehicles ahead of me, but they're all going so fast, I have to bring it up to 83 to start passing people. So right here, it starts to slow down for this car in front of me, and it realizes, oh, they're going too slow. I do confirm that I'm in assertive, thinking, why isn't it getting over? Took a little while to register, but then it started to moving over. So no issues there. I love how it gets around other vehicles when it's in the assertive mode. The challenge is, if it gets all the way over to the far left, it will not exit the passing lane. So rather than testing or proving that, you're just going to have to take my word for it that it doesn't get out of the passing lane. So here I'm continually forcing it over. I'm trying to do this test. So I know that the assertive mode will not get over. So I'm now slowing it down. I take that back. So earlier I was saying that I don't show you this, but I am lowering the speed, 71. I'm bringing it down, purposefully trying to get my car to get over out of the passing lane. And you can see here, it just sits here. It's not getting over. Now I'm watching in my rear view mirror, making sure nobody's going to come up so I'm not rude. So I do bring it down to chill, thinking, okay, well, in chill, because I have had it move over in chill. So I speed it up here. Look at this. The car passes, second car passes. It takes a couple cars to pass you before it starts moving out of the passing lane. So in chill mode, and this is the only mode that I've had success with, it will get out of the passing lane, but it requires some uncomfortable, how shall I say? You have to allow people to like tailgate you and other people to pass you before it starts doing anything. So now I test it in average, saying, okay, well, it gets over in chill, and I know I've confirmed that, but I've never really tested it in average. So I do the same thing here. I'm decreasing the speed and trying to get it to now move over to the right, and I'm looking out for people coming up behind me, and unfortunately some people start coming up pretty quick, so I do have to manually move the car over. So that was me pushing on the right turn signal stalk to move over to allow those people to pass. And as soon as they pass, there's quite a few cars here coming up, I force it back into the left lane. You'll see here in a second. So there's another car coming up here. I force it back into the left lane. Here we go again. And I'm just really hoping that it will get out of the passing lane. And I'm lowering the speed here, so bringing it down. And I'm really hoping, but now more people are coming. So it's like, okay, you don't want to be rude and just sit there. And that's the problem. That's exactly the problem with the average and the assertive settings. It will not get out of the passing lane. So you just, you become this really annoying person that sits in the passing lane. So previously with Navigate on Autopilot, it would get over, and when it was the separate stacks, it would get over quite readily to avoid sitting in the passing lane. So this is an issue, and I'm just playing around with the speed here. You're going to hear a lot of bells going off. I'm just playing around with the speed to try to get it to move over automatically, and it just simply is not getting over. You can see that car passes, and then suddenly, after I initiate the right turn signal and there's a car blocking me, look at this, a message says changing lanes out of passing lane. So it seems like once one or two cars pass you, it tries to get over. But I had to manually take over because I tend to be as courteous as possible to other people, and I personally get really annoyed when people camp the passing lane. So here it's changing lanes to follow route in the middle of this toll booth area. So it was a solid white line there. When it was not single stack, it would never try to pass over a solid line. But now that it's a single stack, it actually was about to do that. So I wasn't very pleased with that. So here it's changing lanes to follow route, but look at this, last second it almost missed it, and there was no reason to miss it. There was plenty of room for it to get over in time for that exit, but it was, as they say in Japanese, giri giri. So I was not very pleased with that at all. Just disappointing for me. But this is even more disappointing, and this is a regression, I would say. I haven't seen this happen in a long time, probably since 10.4, I would say. It gets to the left. It needs to be going straight here. So it gets all the way into the left turn lane, and this used to happen all the time, where it would just stay here, and then it would kind of force itself back onto the highway. There you can see my screen glitching. So all of the issues that I brought up in the beginning of this video are emerging here in this one. So you can see the glitches are still there. It didn't merge very great. I had to introduce extra speed. Here, lane selection, not so great. All these things. So I disengaged because there's nobody behind me at this point. And if there were a lot of people behind me, I probably would have just went with the flow and gotten back onto the highway. So I do report it there in, again, screen glitching, all the elements disappearing. I thought that may have gotten better, but it's still a problem. And it's just really annoying, that's all. It doesn't affect the performance, like I said earlier. So coming up here, I'm just taking it back to get onto the highway to resume testing to see if I can get the average mode to get out of the passing lane. And I try my very best. Watch it merge with these cones here. It did a nice job there. It avoided those cones. And you can see kind of some of the dirt there. It was showing up as like globs of material or blobs or whatever. So here, coming onto the highway, this is actually one of the rare situations where it merges pretty decently. So it's saying it's 60 miles per hour. I think the actual speed limit here is 55. I don't know where it's getting the 60 from. maybe you'll see a speed limit. It's kind of weird because a lot of these highways, so this is 355 now going north. Changing lanes to follow route, it's still locking in at 60. I have a 12% speed offset, so it's going 68. And this is sufficient enough, and it actually moved over, but it said to follow route. I guess that's accurate. And then here I confirm what setting I'm in just to continue the tests. So I move it back from assertive into average. When I'm on the city streets, I always put it into assertive because otherwise it's just too slow, and it can create mixed signals and annoy other drivers around you. So here I'm not expecting it to get over because it's a solid line, but then again it tried to do it earlier, so you never know sometimes with this. And this is where it just requires extensive testing. I have probably 300 miles of testing now on the highways with this single stack, based on several trips back and forth to Michigan. I had to force it over there to the right because people were coming up behind me, and I just, for the life of me, could not get it to exit the passing lane. And as you can see, there's just a ton of cars coming pretty quickly in the passing lane. Normally that's where I would be. I'm always a fast driver compared to other people, but for these tests I slow it down just so I can put it in another perspective in case somebody else drives a little bit slower. So here I'm going purposefully very slow in the passing lane, and as you can see, it's just not getting over. It eventually says changing lanes to follow route, but then it doesn't execute on it. Kind of weird there. So I just forced the turn signal to get over, and it's still not getting over. There's enough of a gap, but there is somebody coming up and their vehicle turns red, so I'm like, okay, that's fine. So I'll just wait until they pass, and then suddenly the message changes to say changing lanes to follow route. So I'm like, okay, that's not exactly what happened there. I initiated the lane change myself. So then this one automatically comes in saying changing lanes to follow route. And I'm fine with that. Little do I realize that it's trying to take me onto another interstate, which is a toll road, which is a pretty expensive toll road, and it saves maybe 1 minute off of my travel time. So it really doesn't make any sense. So right here I actually disengage to prevent it from going onto this extra road. So wait for it here. See, it's trying to get over, so I'm like, nope, screw that. I'm going to go straight here. So I drive manually for a short distance here, just passing over this section here, and then I turn beta back on again. And immediately it started to go left, which was kind of weird. But up here, this is the coolest behavior, and it's something I've never ever seen before. I absolutely loved what I saw here. Watch what happens. So I start increasing the speed, and then right here it says changing lanes to stay out of rightmost lane. That was pretty neat. I've never seen it do that before. So I don't know what actually allows that message to be displayed, but it was interesting to note in the moment. So I'm in the average setting, and it's coming along here. I'm not expecting it to get over because this is not technically the passing lane. So it starts doing everything automatically, changing lanes to follow route. Thankfully it doesn't miss the exit here. In this drive, I don't have any missed exits. It seems that every time it's missed an exit, I have not been filming, but that is a pattern with beta with version 11 where it will miss the exits. If you are still watching, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. I found out that 84.4% of my viewers are not subscribed. It goes a long way if you could please hit that button. A lot of people asking for money here on the side of the streets. This is a popular area. A lot of people come to this section. I don't know why. I guess there's a lot of traffic. Right up here on the right side is Woodfield Mall. It's a very popular mall. So there tends to be a lot of traffic around this area. So coming up here, I do just confirm that I'm in assertive mode because that's the most appropriate for these environments. And again, for those of you who may not know, you can change those modes by using the right scroll wheel. You push to the right or to the left. That scroll wheel, in addition to scrolling up and down, you can push it to the left or push it to the right, and that allows you to change that setting. Previously, with Navigate on Autopilot, that would change the follow distance. So coming up here, everything's pretty straightforward. Now I slow it down for this turn because yet again it misinterprets this other light. It doesn't misinterpret it. It sees the light, it registers it, and then it proceeds to slow down when that light does not apply to us. So these roads are at a little bit of an angle. I mean, in a different angle compared to other roads. It's not perpendicular. But watch, the light turns blue. You can see it right above, right there, it's blue. And right when you heard that sound, that's when I had to step on the accelerator. So there was somebody behind me, and it just, when your brake lights go on, you're going to get honked at if you don't step on the accelerator. Now, if I didn't have anyone behind me, I would have let it slow down a little bit more. It's always that balance. And I like to experiment to see, not that I want to like push it to the limit every single time, but I like to see if it maybe changes its mind. And a lot of times it does change its mind. So it will correct itself, but then you don't get a chance to send any feedback to Tesla. So every time you intervene or disengage, that feedback goes back to Tesla. So overall, there are several issues, new issues that have popped up. But I love the natural movement within lanes. You didn't see it in this video, how it kind of moves away from other vehicles. Love that feature. But overall, version 11.3.3 doesn't have any noticeable differences compared to 11.3.2 based on my 2 days of testing. Thanks a lot so much, everybody, for watching. Please subscribe if you enjoy and are getting anything out of my videos. It goes a long way. And I will see you guys in the next video.